It was good, Joe. It's your boy Libra got 90 back with another DBD podcast episode. I kind of forgot which number it is. I'm just pretty much going along and just uploading whatever I can. Do keep in mind that as much as I love doing these audio podcasts, and I do encourage you guys to listen to this. Like if you're at work, if you're busy doing something, you could just have this, just listen to it in the background. That'd be great. A lot of the times I enjoy doing these podcasts because it's not I've said this before, I'm not lazy when it comes to editing. It's just, sometimes there are just things I just want to talk about and I don't have any content to actually provide. Now, I will say today, right before it's about to be 12, so by the time, I ain't gonna say today, because I'm likely gonna upload this tomorrow on the 20th, right? But on the 19th, I uploaded the episode, what is called Dbd Replays. That is the playlist I put videos that, when I'm breaking down games of how we lost as Survivor or how we won as Survivor. What survivors did right, what the killer did wrong, what the killer did right, what survivors did wrong. So that was a video I released on the 19th when I played against at Dead Dog Saloon as Dwight and Renato. Dwight, who was going against Myers, and then I'm just showing how the Myers pretty much lost that game by trying to camp, which to me isn't a bad map for him, considering that map is pretty open. So, he can pretty much get a stock off, especially if people aren't good in chase, then it's just going to be, easier for him. And then the next match was with Renato going against the Knight, and that's definitely a good map for him because you got to understand, open maps like that where the killer can pretty much see everything. Dead Dog Saloon isn't a big map to begin with. It's pretty open, and all he has to do is just send his guards to just camp, the house that has a gen at the top floor, and then there's the tower bridge that has also a gen that's by Shaq. I always encourage people to, learn more about the game if you want to get better at Survivor. Even if you're great in chase, you still want to understand macro play as far as understanding how not to 3-gen yourself. Keep in mind there's 7 generators in a map. You only have to complete 5. Now, I'm not saying it's only as if it's easy, but just do keep in mind that you have to complete 5 generators and you don't want to 3-gen yourself, right? You don't want to be in a situation, let's say Dead Dog Saloon, where you knock out the gens that are on the outside of the map versus the inside. The 2 gens that you really want to try to knock out the fastest are the one that's at the house, which is when you go inside, that bar area, you go on top of the bridge, or the balcony area, and you want to complete that gen, as well as trying to knock out that gen that's over by the tower bridge with the hanging man. Because if you do the outside first, and let's say you only have to do one more gen left, and then you find that there are 2 gens that are right there, then you're pretty much screwed, right? Because the killer can just camp that area, especially the Knight. And I think that was a very interesting video. Both of those videos were pretty much very competitive gameplay, and I don't get a lot of survivors in solo queue that know how to actually play against that. I actually had teammates knocking out gens on gens, and I'm gonna tell you this now, as much as I play this game, dude, it's so tough and frustrating knowing that almost every, when I play DBD, as weird as it sounds, I don't always, even though I know I'm going to die 99% of the time, I know I'm going to lose most of my matches 99% of the time. That means I only have 1% chance of survival. Seriously. Those are the numbers for me. But I still don't go into it thinking I'm going to lose. I just try to have a fun chase, which a lot of times I don't complain as much, but it is very frustrating when, you don't have a pallet to use, and then, you run into a dead zone, and then that's it, which is why, having windows is very good. I've always argued on behalf of Windows, by the way, that, Windows aren't just for new players. You have to, especially if you're playing solo queue. If you're playing in a 4-man and people know how to loop and they know how to utilize the resources as much as they can. What I mean by this is you understand what pallets are really good. Like a god palette. Let's say you go to Fractured Cowshed and there's the cow tree, right? Cow tree is where, there's the palette. It's like a god loop. It's a god palette where it's you pretty much so it has a window, and it's like an outside version of Shaq in a way, right? The only difference is obviously Shaq has a wall, but there's it's a very strong loop. It's a very strong loop. There's only a few killers that I feel like it may not be as strong, considering like, you know, if they're a range attack killer, like a huntress, you know, a trickster, a death slinger, because you pretty much have to try to dodge their attacks. But most killers who are basic or M1 killers, they will really struggle around that loop. Even if you play it poorly, you still force them to likely break that pallet and hopefully gain you some distance. And, you know, even if they don't try to, it's really hard for them to if you know how to loop. I'm gonna tell you this now: anytime you drop a pallet, not a 50-50. What I mean 50-50 is in, let's say you have a pallet that's connected to a wall. If you drop that pallet, you don't want to play that 50-50 game. I don't care even if you understand check spots, because you know how this game hits when it comes to the people's connection, or, oh man, that shouldn't hit, or I've been, you know, vaulted across that pallet. Like, some loops are just are unsafe. Right? Like, don't touch that. It's unsafe type stuff, right? So it's just like, but when it comes to cow tree, even like, you always want to fast vault on the longer side. So if a pallet is dropped, right, and you see that there's a loop and, you know, the killer have to try to go around it, do not go on the short side. You don't ever really want to loop on the short side or fast vault on the short side. You always want to do it on the longer side, if that makes sense. And if that don't make sense, do keep in mind I do have tips and tricks in my Dbd runs. I typically have like 3 playlists that I use the most. There are some older playlists of me trying to like do meme builds, like back in the day when I first started playing Dbd. You know, if you ever want to check those out, I also played Killer a little. So if you ever want to see those, you can definitely do that. But my most up to date is going to be my podcast, my Dbd replays, and tips and tricks. I don't really do much of tips and tricks, but do keep in mind these are still up-to-date videos that you can still learn how to become a better survivor. But I will say that no matter how many videos you watch of anyone, you still have to play the game long enough to understand. I do want to talk about today's episode, though, about the nerfing or the rework to the Xenomorph. I was just playing against her, I want to say, yesterday and today, as he just had a match. And I feel like it's been pleasant playing against her, and I don't think a lot of people are going to probably play with her as much, because they realize now that she can't get that tail attack off so fast. If you drop a pallet or if you go past a window, she's not really that strong anymore. And there's not like, so she's still a two-way killer. And I always feel like killers who are two-way have an upper hand and being stronger than killers that aren't two ways. Why do I say this? Well, if you look at it, you know, a huntress, you know, if you go out against like a Bubba, okay, he has a chainsaw. If you're a newer player, you're scared. But once you know how to loop against a Bubba, you just know not to really drop a pallet. Just keep going. It's a guessing game, right? Because, you know, Bubba can have chili. They can have, you know, all of these like these add-ons that can help them go with the chainsaw even longer. And there are good Bubba players who actually know how to actually play. But again, you have to understand, you know, they're good Bubba players, but if you play against good survivors, we will dismantle that. Whereas if you go against a huntress, she's map dependent. She's not as fast as other killers. She eventually runs out of hatchets. But keep in mind, some pallets won't work against her. Pallets and loops that will work against Bubba's, Billy's, or Myers, where they pretty much have to be on you, pause, to attack you, probably won't do so well against like those loops probably won't save you as well as against, you know, a nemesis, because he has his whip and he has zombies. A huntress, because she can hit you with her bust of a hitbox. A trickster who can just hit you with his blades that's open. Death slinger, etc. These are like loops that are called open face loops. Those are what I call even the Xenomorph. The Xenomorph, I feel like they nerfed her attack, and I think I've read about this before. But you know, reworks, they nerfed her recovery, if that makes sense. So I was just playing against her. I forgot that one map. I forgot what it's called. Actually, I'm not even going to try to guess. I got the game on right now, so I can actually go to it and see what it's even called. You know, the one that came with the night? That one map that came with the night that a lot of people don't like unless you have Windows. Let me tell you. And that map, you need to have Windows. I don't care who you are. I don't care. I don't like guessing where a structure is. That is one of the... Hold on. I'm going to go to it right now. It's actually called Beef Tallow Mixture, which is called... Burgo. Yep, so Decimated Burgo. That's the one that came when the night emerged, right? That's his map. And that map, I recommend using Windows. It's a very good map if you have Windows, because it has walls. It's like a balanced map in a sense of for survivors. Not if I it's to me it's a listen. Some people may argue and say, "Oh man, the map is too." And I think they're gonna be working in the next patch. By the way, they do have the PTB, so keep in mind I can't play in that map. But there are people that would complain about the map, saying, "Oh, there's too many pallets." And in the beginning, there were a whole lot of pallets. But I just feel like if you have a range attack killer, you can do something with that. And the reason why I say that is because there are a lot of open face loops that might not work against certain killers. Like there are some loops that are like it's just one loop I can't explain it, but like it looked like a little molehill where it has the pallet. It is a very strong loop. But if I go against a hunter, she could just like hold her hatchet up and then just hit you over it. But then there are also a loop that she has to go through. It has a shack. It has some wall loops. It has a jungle gym. It has like a whole lot of stuff. So to me, it just depends on the killer that you choose to use. And I was just going against the Xenomorph. And of course, I'm playing in solo queue. I got survivors that's going to go down in like 15 seconds because a lot of them don't know how to play. A lot of them don't understand how to still loop. Just like I tell people a lot, just because you, buff killer and nerf survivor doesn't mean that, or I shouldn't say that. Just because you give survivors windows and you make it where it no longer has a cooldown like it used to, and people have made for this, all the stuff that killers love to complain about. It still doesn't mean that every survivor is going to know how to loop. They don't understand how to, like, it's just literally night and day. Like, this killer is literally destroying these survivors. I'm talking about literally just it doesn't even make sense how, like, when this killer goes against these survivors, they make him look like she's OP, even after rework. But then, of course, she goes after me, and she clearly sees that it's just a difference in skill level, as far as at least mindset. Because none of that stuff was working on me. And because the only problem that I have with Xenomorph is when she's in her cooldown, that's when she stands up. When she's no longer in her cooldown, she's in her crawl stage of just and the only way to really get her out is if you set these turrets around loops that she's likely going to chase you around, or pretty much the best way I would say is around generators, and hopefully those generators have like structure that you can use to mind game around a bit. But when she was just chasing me, it was just like, okay, none of that was working. Like, I know how to mind game. I know how to loop. I know how to dodge. Before the rework, it did not matter what you did. I swear to God, you were getting hit. That's why they had to kind of nerf it down a bit. You got to keep in mind, no one's perfect. These devs aren't perfect. They're trying to see what works, what doesn't work, etc. But they always just seem like one little thing, though. And I'm not trying to get on survivors killers if I'm trying to be against them or not. But it always seemed like, I don't know what it is, man. It always seems like whenever survivors just get one little, I'm talking about they would give killers, we work in these maps for killers, they would give killers like these strong anti-loop killers, or like these hard camping killers such as, Skull Merchant and all these. It's like survivors every now and then get like a fun perk. We get like dramaturgy. I guess they was trying to rework that because they disabled it. I don't know if it's still disabled. I think it is. Made for this. I think they're talking about they're going to do a little rework to that maybe one day. Or they might keep it. I don't know. Hopefully they do. They mess up the fastball. It's like every little thing we get. It's always, oh, nope, this is too strong. It's like killers only seem, and I've learned this early in DBD, that killers only seem to want easier games, dude. It's like they can't sweat. They can't go up against good survivors every now and then. And even if they get a 2K or a 3K, they complain of how hard the game was for them. But they know, more times than not, if they're at least a half decent killer, you're going to at least get a 2K. You're going to at least get survivors survivors going to do two things wrong most of the time in a map. Well, really three. Really three. And it's embarrassing for me to even say that survivors just don't do the main objective that helps them escape. That's the main thing. I should not look up. I had on my recent video and I hope you guys watch it, because I love doing those breakdowns. I can do those all day. I don't mind talking over it, going even and I will post videos even if we lose. I'll talk about that too. It's not a problem, right? Clearly y'all know how to win all my games. No one wins all their games in solo queue, but it was a game against the Knight. And we were, we were in Dead Dog Saloon, and when the Knight chased me for a bit, I took him on a long chase. He caught me around like one of the houses that's like in a far back. I can't explain where. Like you would just have to know. Like he chased me around a loop that wasn't that safe. So he caught me. But keep in mind, he caught me, and that's fine. I mean, you're not gonna, not every chase is gonna last long. You got to keep in mind that the game is RNG. So you're not gonna always, like, for example, like you can literally spawn into a map and the killer is just right there. You can spawn into a map and the killer's totem, devour, or whatever, is just literally right there. Like you literally can just like, or play whatever it is. Like you literally can just spawn right there. So it could be bad RNG for the killer as well too. I mean, think about it. The killer brings a perk that they would like to use, a totem, and yet it's already taken out by survivors within 10 seconds into the match. That can happen. But there's also a thing where survivors can spawn into a map and literally the killer is just like right there. So it's good. That's why I love using distortion. I mean, these days a lot of killers either have, they have barbecue because they just still want to be able to see where survivors are, or they have lethal pursuer where they can immediately see you within the game, like within 10 seconds or 15, whatever. So, but yeah, to make a long story short though, to be able to see like these survivors just stay committed on gens, like literally seeing that, that really made me feel good because it's just like I rarely get that, dude. Like rarely, like I want killers to literally. I wish a lot of people did podcast episodes or just have these debates, have real debates. It don't have to be disrespectful. It could be something real, but have the real debates about like their experiences. Because I don't doubt that. Listen, imagine if I played on a team on a consistent basis where I got 6,000 hours. There's people who have a little bit less hours or more or the same, and then I was playing against really strong killers. I mean, I would just love that. Like, I love the competition. But there are some people, there are survivors who don't like competition. There are killers who don't like competition. There are killers who can go on a 90% win streak, and they will always remember that one time they lost and will say, y'all need to nerf survivor. Y'all need to add 10 seconds to the generator. Oh, gens fly by fast. Again, in that game that I was explaining, like, the killer who tried to, like, the night, when I got caught after that unsafe loop, eventually, and then he tried to tunnel me out the game because I was pretty much almost dead. If he would have caught me, I'd have been dead. But he chased me, and he knew like he wasn't gonna catch me immediately, and he was gonna lose his gens, right? Which he should have been trying to like patrol, and it was already too late. By the time he did that, the survivors already just like caught on to it, right? And just say, okay, let's go ahead and make sure we knock out these gens. But I don't find many of that. I feel like a lot of time, again, killers, it's like, I want killers to tell me in the comments, and please, if you are a killer, man, just tell me how many times do you lose a game. I don't care if you are new, if you are a veteran. Explain to me how many times you lose games. I need to know this because it's like, dude, like I play this game every day, unfortunately. And I don't see this where it's like almost every single game I play, I'm having great survivors. I am at low MMR. Right? Like, I'm at low MMR. I'm going to tell you that. Does that mean my skill level is at low MMR? No. But see, DBD, it doesn't take much skill. I try to get people to understand this. Like, it doesn't take a lot of skill in DBD. I mean, it can, but it takes experience, sure. But at the same time, that you can play this game for 6,000 hours and still have survivors throwing down every pallet, and just because you catch me and you down me, pause, and then you give me nopers. It's like, well, like, what do you want me to do? Shaq pallet was already gone within 15 seconds of the match. Cow tree pallet was already gone. I have to use you gotta, like, there's times you just feel like you don't have enough perks, right? Like, you have any means. And I'm glad that that's not even a cooldown anymore. I can use it as much as I want, but I'll take it a step further. I feel like you can buff nearly every perk in this game. You still have survivors that's gonna waste every single pallet because they're afraid to learn. It's not even just the fact that they're new to the game; they're just afraid to learn. Like, I have survivors literally telling me and trying to debate with me that why they shouldn't look behind. I used to be a part of this Facebook group, which I would never be a part of another group that is not mine again. I am not going to be getting banned while somebody's able to say something reckless and I just clap back, and then they pick and choose what posts. No, I have my own community anyway. Let me produce what I produce. It's just better for me. But I have survivors literally trying to tell me that they don't need to look behind them in chases. You ever walk down the street at night, if you're a guy or a girl, Do you not occasionally look behind you to see if that creepy dude ain't looking at you, trying to like see if he really in real life have lethal pursuer, or if he have know it? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like I'm talking about, like, do you not look behind you to see if it's a stranger in real life, see if they have a red stain? Think about that, but just think about that in DBD terms, right? Like, you need to, obviously you're walking to the store at night, you see where you at. Like you gotta, you're not the entire time walking down the street and just looking behind you, because then you're gonna run into something or into someone, right? But you're gonna occasionally look around your surroundings. You don't cross the street without looking both ways. So why would you on earth would you play DBD and not look behind you? You have to know what a killer is. You cannot run through Shaq and just take the window and think every killer is just gonna follow you through Shaq. No, they're gonna go on the other side and meet you and be on like, what up? The problem I have with survivors is not that they're just brand new. A lot of them just don't want to learn to get better. You know, hell, if you want to go to the gym, you want to get a better bod, it takes discipline. You have to learn how to eat better, you know, which I think is the hardest thing. It is the gym. You can go to the gym, but cutting out bad habits like eating bad food every day and being active. It's the same thing with DBD. That's what I tell a lot of people in this game. Like, if you have survivors that their chases does not last a minute, it's a problem. Now, keep in mind, they have designed killers like the artist, where they can zone you out. Because, again, the devs will not count the small percent. Listen, show me where there's like 50% of survivors in this game that know how to actually loop. Show me. And I know there's different ways of looping. There's pre-drop Andes and stuff like that, which I feel like, it's a coin toss and when to do it. Like, I just feel like you can't always go into it and being like, okay, I'm going to play the exact same way every time. Because not every killer is going to go for that. You know what I mean? Like, not every killer breaks pallets right away. Like, smart killers will do this. Smart killers would act like they're about to break a pallet by acting like they're finna do like the break animation. And then if they see you turn your back, that's when they'll try to chase you around. Or if they have like enduring, where the pallet barely stuns them. You know what I mean? So, like, watch out for killers who use chase builds, right? And I'm convinced that killers who do that, who does that, will like probably play survivor a bit, because again, if you play both sides, you really become dangerous on both sides, right? Because it makes you become better. Because as a survivor who is playing killer, you know where a lot of good structures are already. You know what a lot of survivors try, like But if you are a survivor who don't play both sides, it's hard for you to even know what killers are even gonna do, and vice versa. So what I'm saying is that you can have made for this, you can have windows, you can have lithe, you can have all of these things. If you do not know how to utilize your chases, you're just gonna lose. And the only maps that you're gonna pretty much have that's gonna really give you a chance, I think, to lose in is if you go to the game. The game is pretty much, bro, it has so many god loops and god palettes, it just doesn't even make sense. Like, even bad survivors will look like a god or goddesses in this game, because they would just drop palette. And then it's the ego, though. Like, you can't even tell these, bro, listen. You can't even tell these survivors nothing. Bro, if they go on a good chase and they ran, like, I'm not going to say all the time I know a survivor has windows, because sometimes they don't. But a lot of times you can tell when somebody got windows, right? Because they just run to every pallet. Let you have windows or any means. Let you have windows or any means. Or let you have alert, and the killers are breaking on pallets. All you're hearing is that notification go off. If you have alert, that's all you're hearing. If you have windows, like, I was literally in Burgo just now, and I seen like at least like 6 pallets that a Nicolas Cage just like literally just dropped every last one of them. And because he likely was just throwing them down, or she was throwing them down, not looking behind them, the killer looked like there was a guy. And then when they went up against me, they got humbled. It's just what it is. You're not going to catch you're not going to catch every survivor like that, right? But in this game, it really doesn't matter, because the killer can still win the game. That's why I tell people, like, people talk like it's skill. That's why this game is really weird, right? Because like, even in comp matches, they have to nerf certain maps. Not nerf, but like prevent certain maps, prevent certain perks that's being used, prevent certain add-ons. Like, you have to do all these restrictions just to have like a quality game, right? Just to have a quality game. Like, and it's crazy. Give me like 1 second, because my throat is very dry. Pause. Give me like 1 second. Like I had to like get some water, dude, because like you gotta have water in this type of situation. I mean, it's not hot, but like, you know, when you're doing like I want this to go like 45 minutes to an hour. I am sleeping. I do got to go to the gym in the morning, and I've been feeling pretty good about, you know, life so far. It's like where I'm doing. Sure, I got family issues right now. I ain't gonna lie to you, but that's why it's like a bittersweet moment for me, because it's just like I mean, the only thing that's not going good outside of like, I ain't gonna say it's not going good, but it stagnates my channel. I mean, I'm trying to get there, but it's just like with Dbd, man. It's like, you know, like I said, like those who've been watching, like the OG viewers, man, I was playing all kinds of games. 2K was like NBA 2K was the main game I was streaming and playing, making content with that, and then, you know, playing Friday the 13th, man. I think, you know, I think like the highest views I ever had in a row was like 111. I still remember that. Like, it just came out of nowhere. You know what I mean? And then streaming Fall Guys and like people enjoyed that, you know. And then Dbd became like the main game I got hooked on, playing with certain people, and then some of them people were just very toxic. I didn't want to play with them anymore. Cut that off. But one guy I did keep up with who pretty much had patience to show me the game. If you guys can find people that have patience with you, that show you the game, please connect with them. You know what I mean? Because like, I had my guy named Phantom, man. Like, man, he had a lot of patience. But there were people with him that just didn't have patience. I'm talking about like, bro, I'm in a lobby with this dude, and I'm gonna say this, and there's no disrespect to people that was like, he was saying some sus stuff. I mean, I don't go that way, but I was trying to be cool and respectful. You know what I mean? But like, he was outside of that, like. He was just like, you know, just like didn't want to play. It was one time, like literally I joined the lobby with him and he just left. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not chasing nobody in this game. Like, that's why I don't play with people. That's one of the main reasons why I don't play with people. Because I felt like that was like very disrespectful. Like, we all cool. We were scrimmaging. We were playing, you know, private matches and trying to learn. Mind you, I'm young at this in the game, right? Trying to learn how to play Dbd, and my guy was just trying to teach me the game. He was a very good survivor and killer, you know. Back then, you know, I thought, you know, obviously I'm not trying to knock people, and I would say this too: rank or iridescent, all of that stuff. You get to Iri 1, I don't care. It doesn't mean skill. It just doesn't, right? Now, me saying it, does that mean that it means nothing? No, but don't think that it means just because you are, let's say, at 1,000 hours or less. Let's say you're at 500 hours or 600 hours, and if you make it to that as killer and survivor, that does not mean that you will destroy somebody who has 6,000 hours. It does not mean that. It just does not. You got people who don't play public matches like that, okay? And they play Dbd for real, though. Like, you play it kind of for real, but not really, though, okay? Like, I don't get a chance to make it to Area 1 every time. I just don't, because I have like 1 or 2 matches where survivors aren't doing generators, and I just stop playing for the whole day. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have much patience for this game anymore. It's like, I try to play when I can, when I'm bored, and I just be like, you know, I work a lot, and then like, I don't know, but like, I don't have time for like certain things. But to make a long story short, like, yeah, if you can find people that will teach you the game, sure. But also, you know, watch videos. I have tons of videos on how to get better at Survivor. And it's such a thrilling thing, such a, like, I don't know, like when I used to watch people play Survivor and they were really good, like streamers who, you know, I would see them like mind gaming and connecting loops and chant. Like, that's when you get really advanced. Like, at some point, you know, greeting, I feel like you'll learn faster than some people might catch it early on, understand how to connect loops. But that takes a real, listen, focus on looking behind you first. Okay, focus on trying to learn how to hug your loops more tightly. You know, focus on, you know, don't just be perk dependent. What do I mean by this? Do not just use made for this and think that you can just loop the same way as somebody who have like 7,000 hours. Because if you're not looking behind you and you're running in shack and the killer noticed that you're not looking behind you and that killer is advanced and then the killer to meet you on the other side, then we're like, what you mean? You know what I mean? Like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Like, you know, like you have to look behind you, and you have to understand, like, you know, at some point in time, yeah, like, it's about faking out the killer. That's what I love about the interactions. Like, a lot of the times when I get caught, it's not that I get outplayed. A lot of times it's just either I'm in a barren situation where there's no pallet, so the map is barren. I run into a dead zone, or they just catch me on guard because there's a wraith or a ghost face. Right? Like, that's simply what that is. But the most part, I just love being able to mind game. Like, for example, like one of my favorite mind games, right? I love this. Okay. Picture you running into Shaq as killer because you see me, you assuming I'm about to go inside. So, okay, I'm on the outside of Shaq, you're on the outside of Shaq, but I'm where you can run inside. I'm showing myself where you can run inside the Shaq, where to the left of me will be the lockers, and then it would be the window. In front of me would be a pallet. And then let's say you're approaching Shaq, where you're by the door where there's a pallet. So what I'll do is I'll fake like I'm about to go in by hiding myself behind that wall, and I'm trying to see if you're gonna go inside Shaq. And the moment you go inside Shaq, I'm just gonna leave and go out the other way. Like, I don't even run in Shaq. Like, it's such a it's like, see, I related to basketball a lot because I grew up on it, right? I related to basketball, like hooping. And it's just like, I'm catching you with a jab step. I'm seeing if you're going to bite on it. Pause. Like, thoroughly, though. Like, don't be on that. Like when I say pause, you know what I, like, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you say something, it just seems like, I don't know. Some people might call it immature or childish, but the pause thing is funny to me. But like, some things you say that's kind of like, I don't know if it's like sus or weird, but I'm just saying, like, you bite on the fake. So like, if you watch basketball, let's say I had the ball and I got two hands on the ball and I fake like I'm about to swing it, like I'm about to dribble. I haven't moved my pivot yet, but I'm about to fake like I'm about to dribble. And if you like go for it because you think I'm about to dribble and like bounce the ball and go right, I either shoot it above you or I just go the other way. That's how I look at it when it comes to DBD. It's like, if I fake like I'm finna go for a window, let's say like a window fake, right? Like, I'm running, let's say the killer's running behind me, right? And like, I figure I'm about to run into like a window to like fast vault it. Like, I angle myself like I'm about to try to do a fast vault. I will fake it and just keep running. Some killers will swing at it. There's killers that will actually try to go on the other side because they're trying to meet you inside, right? But then you fake it and then you just go the other way. It's just the same thing with killers. You know what a lot of killers do that I notice is that, like, if a killer is and they do this a lot, but I'm gonna tell you how to counter that. Let's say you at Shaq, right? You got killers that they know if you're looking behind you. Like, you got killers who will pay attention. Like, this is an advanced movement from killer. What they'll do is they'll watch you to see if you're gonna run inside Shaq, the area where there's, okay, so the killer is by the window. The killer has the option to go through the door where there's a pallet, which most of them aren't gonna do. If they're already seeing that you going through the door, they're either gonna try to go through the window, or they're gonna try to meet you, or they're gonna try to just follow you into Shaq. You know what I'm saying? So like, they can go through the window, or they're just gonna follow you through that wall. Where, you know, when they run, and they're gonna try to chase you through the door or through the window, and they're behind you, and to them, you know, they can try to stop you and hit you through the window, whatever. But smart killer, if that makes sense. So I just want to re-say this again because I think I confused myself. If you're running into Shaq and there's, to your left, there's a locker, and then there's the window. You got some killers that they either try to go through the window themselves to try to cut you off, or they'll just follow you behind you into Shaq, where they too see like there's a locker to the left of you, and to the left of them, and then there's the window. You got some killers, what they'll do is they'll freeze. They'll hide. They'll freeze. They'll hide their red stain. That way you'll pause, and you don't know where they are. Like, you don't know if they're going to try to take the window. You don't know if they're going to try to, a lot of them, what they'll do is they'll freeze, and then they'll notice to see if you're like waiting, and they'll just guess it, right? And they'll just then come behind you. And if you're taking too long trying to see what the killer is, they can probably get a hit on you because they're thinking, well, because this person looking behind them and they're being smart, let me pause, because they know that you don't see them 9 times out of 10. They see, like they know that you're trying to see if they're going to take the window or not. But then what they'll do is they'll just stand there and then they'll just like pause for like maybe 3 seconds, and then they'll just like come behind you. And if you're not fast enough to try to hurry up and get to that window or to that pallet, they're just gonna get a free hit. If that makes sense, right? Like they'll pause and they'll hide their red stain, and then they'll come through. What I do is if I run inside Shack, I mean, sometimes you just have to drop Shack early, or sometimes you just have to make it to that window. But I'm going to tell you this right now. If they pause, they're taking too long. Do not take that window. If they're following behind you into Shack where you see the window to the left of you and there's a locker to the left of you, but it's a pause, just keep running towards that pallet. You might have to drop it if they follow behind you, but I'm telling you, smart killers do that. You got killers that will try to meet you inside, and they'll try to like they'll try to vault inside the window, and especially if they got like bamboozle, they'll like block you from trying to like, use it or whatever. Some killers will just follow you into Shack and try to see if they can get a hit on you, but smart killers, if they notice that you are looking behind you, they will pause right there because they notice that you probably just trying to see where they're going to be at, and then they'll just come through that behind you anyway, and then because you froze, they're going to get a chance to get a decent hit, if that makes sense. What I say is if they're taking too long, do not stand by that door, bruh. Keep running towards Shack. And you can try to mind game it. You can try to you can try to do whatever you want, but you should not get hit if you understand what you're doing. And some Shacks or like some places they have it where you can literally see through. There's times I won't even go inside Shack. Sometimes I fake like I'm finna go inside Shack and I'll just go around it. And then some of them got that window where you can like see inside. And then you can see if they're going to take the window. You can see like where they are. They might follow you around that house. But again, you got to realize this takes so much time and understanding on what you need to do as Survivor. Like I have 6,000 hours. And I know I keep saying like how many hours I have. But you got to understand this takes time to understand that. There were times I would watch streamers and I'd be like, man, how did they... I used to think that I would never get good at this game as far as learn how to do that. But then, there's so many hours down the line, it just becomes second nature. Like, oh, okay, well, this ain't bad. It's pretty smooth. But anyway, I do want to talk a little bit about this too. They decided to, in the PTB, I didn't get a chance to read the entire patch notes that's coming up, but in the PTB, and I do think it sucks that other players that's not on PC can't really participate, especially if you are a content creator or streamer, because then you pretty much have to wait for that. It's like imagine trying to grow and you're trying to like get this stuff out and it just doesn't really matter because it's already been out. Otson, already got it out and other people and stuff like that, right? So not saying that you can't like put yourself out there and get discovered yourself, but it's just really hard to do that, right? But they're trying to get rid of face camping. I'm gonna say this now. Even if they find a way to get rid of it, they're just gonna find a way. A lot of killers have already said it and threatened to just tunnel somebody out the game. I just think that no matter what, you have to understand that people will find a way to try to win games more than lose. People don't care about playing fair. And DBD is definitely not fair at all. It's just really what it is. The devs can only do so much. That's just simply what it is. This is what I'm saying. Like, I get really upset when I think about like how this game used to be. I'm not saying this game was ever perfect. Mind you, I was never playing Legacy days. I never played when there were infinite loops. As far as like, and people, let me just say this right now before I get back on the point. When people talk about there's infinite in DBD, like it's really hard for them to really back our argument up when there are so like just having Bloodlust alone. There's not and the way that we work these maps as far as these windows, where it's really hard for you to not be able to catch that survivor. Now, if the survivor, let's say in Garden of Joy, it's the house, right? Within that house, what really makes it a very strong structure loop to where it's almost like an infinite is if you are abusing all the windows except for just okay, so inside the house, if you run, let's say just close your eyes and picture you running inside the house, and to your right, so there's the stairs, and then to your left there might be sometimes there's a pallet or sometimes there's not, and then if you go towards, you keep going straight up, there's a window, right? There's a window where it's in that kitchen area, and there's that window you can take. Now, you can either take that window if the killer's chasing behind you. Always, this is why you need to look behind you. because there's times where even I sometimes lose track of the killer. And if it's a stealth killer, it's even harder, right? If it's spirit, it's even harder, right? Because, it's hard for you to keep track of when they can hide their stain or they can get in a stealth mode. So it's really hard against certain killers. But most loud killers, you can pretty much tell where they are, right? And then if you take that window and the killer follows you through the window, or if they go on the other side, you have a chance to use that pallet. Like, it's that one pallet where it's leading back into the house. Everyone knows what that is. I hate when survivors just pre-drop that pallet like it's just nothing to do. And then there's that if you go inside the house, I wouldn't take that same window again. There should be, if you keep going and you don't enter the kitchen, if you make a left and go like towards the back door, occasionally there's that window that leads towards like the back porch to the left, which they rarely have, by the way. They always have it where they have that one window that's right in the middle of it. And the reason why I feel like they rarely have the one that's leading towards the back porch, because they know how strong that loop is. Like, it takes so much structure. If that survive, so if you fast forward through the middle of it instead of like the back window that leads towards the porch, like the middle window, if you take that one and the killer cuts you off on the left side, that part is actually shorter, because like when they go out the side door, not the back porch. I know it sounds confusing, but the back porch, what I'm talking about is when, let's say if you're upstairs in that house in Garden of Joy and you take that and you take the window from like if you jump out because there's a killer there because you're just doing a generator, there is like that back porch that I'm talking about where there's usually sometimes a window right there. That is a very good structure to connect those window loops. So let's say you run inside to the kitchen, you take that window that leads outside, and then you go around, and let's say the killer follows you through that and they vault the window. There's a pallet, you can choose to use that, or you can just go back into the house. If you take the middle and they catch you off, that path is shorter. They're easily able to hit you. And then it's harder for you to even make it around to get away from that killer, considering you get less distance after you get hit because they nerfed it during 6.1.0 patch. So if you try to make it around that loop and it's pretty much barren over in that situation, you have no choice either to try to go back into that house or you try to go towards a further structure. But they know that if you take the other one, which they rarely have, the devs know what they're doing, dude. The devs know what they're doing when they don't have that back window that leads to that back porch. Anybody who plays this game knows what loop that window I'm talking about. If you take that, the killer takes longer to catch you on that one. It's more of a space for you to get for you to curve. So for you to try to fast vault, you always want to try to like curve in a certain angle and position your survivor to get into a fast vault. You don't want a slow vault, especially if the killer is on you. And if you can take that window and they either they go on the back side of the porch and go outside and not vault, because a vault might take a little bit too long, you have a chance to run back into the house because that side where they normally have that one window is very short. So you can be able to make it inside that house and go through that window vault again. But if they go to the left and like with a back porch, and I know this might sound confusing, but I promise you, like I use this loop a lot, man. All I know is that like I can see why that can sort of be like a infinite. But at the same time, though, man, unless you're breaking the line of sight and you're resetting the chase, the killer eventually is going to catch you. It just takes it longer, and all the killer is pretty much doing is wasting their time. And if they're stupid enough to just chase you forever, and then they wonder why gens are taking too long, and they keep hearing ching, 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 and all these gens being, then they're pretty much blaming, survivors being toxic and, gens flying too fast, and how come you're not interacting with the killer, which is so funny to me because you have a lot of killers that like to say stuff like that. Like, it's so boring to shit on gens. Why not interact with the killer? You mean the same way killers love to just like stand in front of the basement while somebody is being camped? Like, is that interacting with survivors? I mean, in one way you're interacting with the hook survivor because you're standing in front of them, probably hitting them on hook. But is that the same? See, I just don't like this. Give me 1 second. I don't like this mindset where we're just being hypocrites, right? Where we get to just do what we want to do and complain about it. See, it's both sides, right? Check this out. I'll do the same way. I'll give you one better because I'm always accountable for both sides, especially on Survivor. And if anybody who listens to my podcast or watch my videos, I get on Survivors way more than I get on Killer. Because at the end of the day, I always tell people, Killer is meant to kill. That's why they named Killer. Y'all survivors love walking up to the pig and booping her, and I know there are survivors that they weird like that, and Killer's weird like that. You know, it's a killer versus survivor game. We can't just play the game normally. No, we gotta boop the Snoop. We gotta mess around with Ghostface. We gotta have these names that's supposed to be, I don't know, sexualized or whatever. But it is what it is. That's how this community is. I've grown to accept it, right? But at the end of the day, I get on survivors because it's like, well, if we're not doing gens and a killer just get to play alone as killer, I've always made this analogy, and it always fits it. It always makes sense. Like, there are survivors that would complain, like, okay, I'm at my job, I work around others, but I just wash dishes. I only have to worry about myself. I don't have to worry about other people. I can just do my own thing alone. Okay? Everybody cannot show up to work, and as long as they still have dishes for me to wash, I can still do that and be on the clock. I can duck off wherever I want. I can do whatever I want because they know at the end of the day, I'm going to get the job done. And I don't usually duck off unless I know I got my stuff done. You know what I mean? I can watch my shows. I can chill. So I'm like a killer main. It's hard for me to say I know what it's like as far as working specifically at my job, because if I'm not a cook, I don't have to worry about customers. I don't have to worry about, oh, we're out of dough. Oh, somebody didn't show up to work. So those will be the survivor mains at my job who have to rely on each other. It takes 3 people to be on the line. 1 to work the register, 1 to pretty much work like, you know, the pizza. There may be a salad that they have to make for customers, whatever. Meanwhile, I don't have to interact with customers if I don't want to. I do at times, but I could be like, oh, she'll be right back. I love saying, hey, how you doing? I love it, right? Because I know I don't have to ring up anybody. It's only like one time I had to like make a pizza, and one time I had to do like a register work. Like, that was it, right? And I'm a dishwasher. So my thing is that like I'm like what I'm saying. But keep in mind though, when I was at Panera Bread, I did have to do all of that: register, making all the drinks, making bagels, having a homeless woman chuck a cinnamon crunch bagel at me. I don't know why, but the point is that like when I have to rely on other people, I'm a survivor main. When I have to just rely on myself to get the job done, I am a killer main. So what I'm saying is you have a lot of survivors in this game. They don't do anything. If I'm in Chase for like 15 years and I look up and I just see that no one's on it, and this is what gets me about it. Stop lying to me. I see that you're not on a gen, dude. Do y'all really not understand the difference between doing gens and staying on gens? Don't tell me that in the beginning of the game you tapped a gen and then say, I did a gen. No, you didn't. You tapped a gen. Stay on the gen, boy, girl. Like, stay on the gen. Like, what are you doing? Right? Like, what are you on about? You do gens. Like, stay on gens. That don't mean there's 5 gens to complete. Like, holy, like, what are we doing? like survivors, dude. Listen, it just shows how people are too. Like about lying. Like, dude, I can see that you're not doing a gen, dude. Like, I can see it. Like, I can literally see if you're like, bro, like, and then killers like say stuff like, oh, you guys got the UI or whatever indicator, and you know that should be able to help. It's like, bro, you still got survivors that will lie. I literally can see that you're not doing anything. It's like you being caught on camera and you sleep saying I'm working, but I can see you. Like, bro, like, do you let's stop playing. Like, I can see that you're not doing anything. And then when I message you on that high energy, I be having to know. Like, I'm sorry, I be having to ask questions. That's all I'm doing is asking questions, man. I don't know why people get so offended. Maybe it's the energy that I came with them. Maybe it's just the way. Maybe it's the fact that I'm messaging them. Like, who are you to? I'm me. I'm just listen. You're on my team, dude. Like, I wish they had 1v1s for real. Like, I really wish it was just ones. Like, they just need different game modes. They need a mode where it's just me and the killer. That's it. I'll play that all day. So many people will play 1v1s all day. I'm not talking about something that we make up in custom matches. I'm talking about if we had like a timer where I had to, loop a killer for as long as I can, and we're 1v1 and the killer had to chase me, and I would play that all day. Give me pallets, give me all of that. Because it's just like relying on people to do generators, it just sucks. And I feel like no matter what they do, no matter how many cosmetics, like they just came out with a new cosmetics line with, like, who else? They came up with David, Jane, what's his name? Let That was his name. His name is Jonah, but he looked like his name is Roberto. Like, just close your eyes. Think about his, like, his name is Jonah Vasquez, but if you close his eye and think about it, he looks like his name is Roberto. Like, dead ass. I'm not even lying to you. So, Jane, Jonah, aka Roberto, and then David, and then I think it was like somebody else. I forgot what. Like, they came up with like newer cosmetics, and I don't really play with them enough for me to care to buy them type of cosmetics. I'm not gonna just keep spending my money. See. Like, the devs love coming up with like ways to spend money instead of like trying to like address the real problems. Not saying that that they're not trying, but it's just really, really frustrating to see that it's always like $10 I gotta spend. You know what I mean? Like, it's just really bad. But I don't know. All I'm saying is that like in this game, it's a balance of frustration on both. Right? It's a balance of frustration on both. I'm tired of playing this game and dying, and then be wanting to quit, but then be banned for like 3 weeks. I'm tired of it. And that won't stop me. I will still DC. I don't care. I will turn off the game. I just do not care. I'd be ready. Like, I don't want, like, they have not complained. At least I don't think they have about it, because they would have said something. Maybe they can't hear me. But I am tired of like yelling at this time of hour at the TV, and the survivors don't know. And then I just have to ask, like, what are you doing? Like, hey, how's it going? Like, you need anything? Like, let me know if you need anything. Like, let me know if you need me to like snap on you because you're not doing gens. Is it a video game? Of course. Like, what else? Is this real life? No. But like, dude, like this is like, I'm gonna say this now. I have never played a game more frustrating than DBD. I thought it was NBA 2K. This is by far the most frustrating game I've ever played in my life, ever. Like, it's not even close. This is literally by far the most frustrating game I've ever played in my life. Like, it's like I don't know, like, so like like the fact that we want to believe that something's gonna be different. Killer's letting y'all know right now. You can go to Reddit, you can go to Twitter. They're letting y'all know right now. They take away camping, they're gonna find a way to still be a D head. They don't care. Like, you would, bro. Like, I watched a video of a guy literally saying like he wanted to tunnel this P100. And he was a high devotion too. He was like he was like devotion 40 something, 47 I think. Like, so he clearly know what he was doing. Like, he was playing this game for a while, right? He's gonna get this Huntress, and like the Huntress POV, the TCV was like, I can't stand P100s. I can't stand. It's like, dude, like, why? Like, why be a clear hater? Like, you can be a hater secretly and quietly in the back, in a room, somewhere, like in the dark. But why be like loud about it? And then he got dropped off, and then like got mad, and then I was like, I don't know how like. Like, he was running him so long, I almost went to work and came back. He was still running him. And then somehow, like, he opened the door on his own and escaped. Like, I don't understand. Like, this is what I'm saying. Like, you killers can't be, like, garbage and a hater at the same time. Like, pick one. You can't do both. Like, somebody already took that position. You got to either be a hater or garbage. You can't be both. Because it just make you look bad. Like, why are you chasing that one? Listen, I'm going to give y'all some game. Low key, right? Because I'm just kind of freestyling at this point. I'm going to give y'all some game. Killers, go after the weak. I don't care. Go after the weak and then save the good survivor for last, or allow them to get hatched. You still win the game. Oh, wait. It's because your ego is telling you that you have to catch that survivor to prove a point? Like, why? Like, why? This is the problem. And then these are the same killers that will complain to the devs, even though the killer rates have never been below 50%. And say this game is survivor-sided. You know, it's really ridiculous. Why are you chasing that one survivor, dude? Killers will literally have a 3K. That one survivor got out and will still complain and write hate messages. But you got more than you didn't. Like, you got more kills than not. Oh, but you couldn't catch that one survivor, 1v1 me and stuff. No, I'm not gonna do that. It's pointless. This is not a balanced game. It's an asymmetrical game. Why am I gonna try to prove that? If you catch me in a match and you dare to try to chase me, that's on you. Like, I wrote somebody GG's one day. They was like, no. What do you mean, no? I bet if you got a 3K and bled us out, it'd have been a GG. Right? It'd have been GG, GG well played, with a smiley face and a heart. You would have did that. But because I dropped you off and chased, and then you lost the game and you got 3 outed, it's not a GG. This time the right killers GG's. Even though a lot of times, sometimes I'll get hatched because they'll understand, like, wow, man, you're a very good survivor. And you shouldn't be in a situation where you're playing with bots. I'm talking about literal bots, because people DC and just bots in the game boosted. And I said there's different levels to the game. I get that. I'm not trying to like bash newer player, but stop. I mean, it's also just it's hard to. It feels like killer is so overpowered. Like, it's so crazy to me how like there's a lot of killers that seem like they're overpowered when you're just playing with randos on your team. For example, we just played against the vomit girl. I forgot her name. She throws up. I can't remember her name. The Plague. Like, the game was over with. I already said, and listen, stop grabbing me. Like when I'm trying to like die on hook, let me die in peace. R.I.P. You could like I can have it, like, you could put an obituary if you want. Leave me alone. If all y'all gonna do is just cleanse all day and give the killer her power, leave me alone, dude. Like, I don't understand the logic. Leave me be. Because you're already giving this. I'm talking about it'd be 5 gens. The killer already got their power. Now, if she had an add-on that gave her that, that's fine. It's not, but it is what it is. But the mere fact that like immediately y'all are cleansing. Now, some people say, "Oh, I don't like going against her because I throw up and because I don't like the vomit and stuff like that." And I can sort of get that. I can, whatever. But a lot of y'all get injured. The first thing y'all want to do is just immediately cleanse. And then what is the point of that if y'all trash and chase? See, I'm the type of person where it's like I try to understand. Like, I try to be polite and understand things, right? But I also understand like some things you just got to keep it a buck. Like, I'm so like that's why people hated that Circle of Healing got nerfed. Because the first thing y'all did was run to Boons and heal. Like, if you go against Plague and y'all don't like cleanse at all and she don't get her power, she's just basically a basic attack killer. Yeah, she's throwing up on you, but she still have to like hit you. You go against her and she has a 2-way, dude. It's like, dude, that's what I'm saying. Like, some people don't understand why. Like, I don't know. People talk about hunters being stronger and all of these things. I just don't understand how, like, against the Plague, like, people are smart. Like, you gotta understand. Okay, I understand. Like, the only thing that helps the hunters out is more of her ability to be able to hit you through, like, with anything, because her hitbox is stupidly big. But you have to understand that not every survivor knows how to play against a Plague. And if they want to hit cleanse all that, the game is literally over just like that. And she has corrupt, and she can move around the map better. And she can instantly, like, dude, I just don't understand it. The Hunter's not a bad killer to me at all, but I just don't understand, like, the Plague have so many different things that's going for her, and she has corrupt intervention, which obviously it's the Hunter can get that too, right? It's a teachable perk. But the fact that, like, she can just move around the map and she just have all of these, like, she have, like, I guess what it is with the Plague, you'll win if you just have bad survivors. What is a bad survivor? Survivor who just are very inexperienced, and it's not willing to learn. If you are a newer survivor, I can't really call you bad because you're brand new. Like, what are you gonna do, right? I just hate to be on your team though, because I got to carry you against a try-hard killer. Like, it's just so frustrating how killers just, like, they just want to reign supreme, like they did something, dude. It's just like, yo, I ain't gonna lie, I be on that. Like, I'll message you. I be on that, like. Oh man, dude, I just wanted to like come at you guys with this. I didn't think I was even gonna go an hour pause, but I end up saying let's just see what's going on. You know what I mean? Because I just felt like I just had to like ramble. I had a very good day. I'm having a very good days lately. More energy, more rest. I'm about to get some sleep after this. I'm gonna upload this later today on the 20th, Wednesday, before I go to work. Just wanted to just come to that again. Please check out that video I just did of the breakdown. It was a pretty interesting match. Like that, like those are very 2 hard matches that we went against because, we still end up winning those matches. By the way, like there was no 2Ks. It was 3-man or 4 out. But it was still. I just sort of break down what happened. So it was like an edited video. It's called Dbd Replays. It's in the Dbd replay. I do want to edit and put that video on the forefront. But yeah, like I said, listen to this audio, 'cause that's all it's gonna be. When you're just driving, chilling, I enjoy making these for you guys. At least I feel like I have something just to ramble, because it's after hours. It's like 12 in the morning, almost 1, and I just wanted to ramble. But anyway, again, I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast episode. Hope you guys enjoy your days out here. And if nothing else, have a safe day out here as always. And if nothing else, I would say just peace.